Hey y'all, so many of y'all asked about a story time about y'all granny and how we got here. So, just a brief thing regarding her. So, basically, my mother, granny, um, she worked at GM, and she was an engineer. She was a tool maker at GM, and she was a tool maker engineer for GM. She retired from GM back in 2011. Once she retired, she took a job at Baker College. I don't. Some of y'all might not know what Baker College is because it's non-existent now. But when she retired from GM, she started teaching computer classes at Baker College, and she stayed there for 10 years. And then she officially retired after that. Okay, so that's like the backstory of her, what she did for a living. She always was active. She swam 50 laps a day. She faithfully went to the gym every day, swam. She went to LA Fitness and did the cycling classes, got in the sauna. That was just her thing. She rode her bike. So she's very physically fit, because those were the things that she loved to do. And she did it up until probably like 5 years ago. She did those things faithfully. Um, she she has a boyfriend. As y'all didn't seen him in the clips, she don't remember him no more. Only when he come over and you say his name, she remember him. But that he's been her boyfriend since 2010. So yes, Granny has a boyfriend. His name is Mr. Al, and y'all see him in the clips. Anyway, so back, so when we get now we moving forward to the dementia. So we kind of noticed her having dementia probably like in 2019, 2020. Well, my granny had dementia, but she passed away in 2017. So my boys, Khalil and Carlin, would say to me, "Ma, Granny's starting to act like great granny," or whatever, back in 2019, 2020. And so once they started mentioning it, then I, kind of paid attention or whatever. And it was basically her just constantly repeating stuff, like stuff that she wanted us to know. She just constantly repeated, constantly repeated, constantly repeated. But when I would say something to her, she would be like, "Ain't nothing wrong with me, blah blah blah. I'm just, you forget things, I forget things, whatever." So that was that. Whatever. She was still functioning on her own. She was still paying her bills. She was still driving. She was still doing all of that up until she was doing all of that up until 2022. When 2022 rolled around, she was out with Mr. Al doing what they do. They go out dancing, go out having a few drinks, having a good time. And she got caught driving while intoxicated. Okay? So she ended up getting a OWI. Um, and she ended up going to jail. And I got a phone call late in the evening from my aunt because Mr. Al was trying to call me, but he couldn't get in touch with me because I had to do not disturb on my phone. So my aunt started calling me, and she finally, you call so many times, you get through. So they got through to me. I go to where she is in jail because she didn't deny taking the test, the breathalyzer test. So I walk in, they see the resemblance or whatever, and they like, "You Miss Carolyn's daughter?" I'm like, "Yes." So I'm like, what's she in for? Whatever, whatever. So he tell me or whatever. So I'm like, "Well, listen," I was like, "My mom, she has dementia. He was like, well, I knew something was going on with her, but they said she was a diabetic. No, she's not a diabetic. She has dementia. I said, it's not a diagnosis yet, but that's what she has, or whatever. So I knew something was going on. I was like, well, what do I got to do to get her out? So he was like, well, she gonna have to see the judge in the morning. And I was like, oh no, she's not gonna be able to stay here, overnight or whatever. So he was like, well, she got to go to the hospital anyway because she refused to test. So I was like, well, I'm gonna say she could take tests, is it, so he was like, no, she, refused or whatever. So I'm like, okay, well, can I go? So he was like, well, no, you can't go, but I'll give you a call. So I'm like, okay. He was like, it's gonna be a little while, whatever. So I said, okay. So I go all the way back home, and by the time I got back home, he called and was like, we on our way to take her to the hospital. So just, meet us up there. So I'm like, okay. He tells me to go through emergency or whatever. So I get there. Y'all girls sitting up at the front desk with the nurses. So I walk in and she like, dang on my baby, dang on my girl, there she go. I'm like, dude, you still in jail, right? She has no clue, none whatsoever. I end up having to stay up 24 hours in this hospital with her till she came down, okay? So now we fast forwarding to court. So now she had to go to court. She got a probation officer, all this stuff. So with the probation officer, they had gave me some paperwork that I need to fill out. I forgot to fill it out, which turned out to be a good thing. So we get there. I tell the probation officer that I need to go back there with her because she not going to remember nothing. So the lady was like, no, you can't come back. We'll just do the best we can. I said, oh, okay. I said, well, I'll see you in a minute. Sure enough, she come back out. Can you come back here with us? Because she can't answer the question. I said, okay. So they, ask questions like, have you ever been married, this and that and the other. So now she done told them she ain't never been married. She don't have no children. So don't feel bad that she don't claim y'all, because sometimes she don't claim me either. So she wasn't claiming me. But all of this to say, things happen for a reason, and they happened the way that they needed to happen because she's so strong-willed. I couldn't get her to go to the doctor, but the courts made her go. It was like a court order that she go, which helped me out. So we was able to go. She was diagnosed. She took all those little tests or whatever, and she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, which is a form of dementia. Other than that, she's healthy as an ox. Other than her eyes. Her eyes, she gonna have to take them drops for the rest of her life. Other than that, she fine. Because a homegirl can't be with dementia and blind at the same time. I wouldn't be able to do both. So I'm trying to save her eyes for all the ones who like, you be on them drops. Yes, I'm on them drops because blind and dementia don't go together for me. I can't do both. Anyway, so that's how we found out that she had dementia, and that's how me and Carlin moved in over here with her to help her out. It was a struggle when we moved over here. It was a lot, but we did it. So that part I have to talk about in the story time too, because that's a whole nother 10 minutes of talking. But I did want to share at least this part with y'all, how we got here with the dementia. So thanks for listening. And I guess y'all will wait on part 2 of the story.